Well, hi, and welcome to another session of Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors. Today we have a couple experts from the Parkinson's Association. Uh,
We're going to
did I
stop
not
you
say
there.
that right?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And they're here to tell us about what's going on with Parkinson's. And thank you for being here, both of you. And my first question is always for people like you that are doing what you're doing is how did this come to you? How did you get inspired to do something like this?
Well, I can start off. I got involved with Parkinson's Resources back. My first soul support walk as a participant was back in 2006, supporting my best friend's husband, who was diagnosed at the age of 42. And he is still with us. He has progressed quite a bit, especially over the last few years. And at the time, it was just very important for me to do what I could to support Parkinson's. It's a disease and an association, and that doesn't get a lot of publicity, and it just was, it's heart work for me. It just all comes from the heart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely. And what inspired me to join Pro, kind of like you, Jeannine, I joined Soul Support as a volunteer last year. And I was just so amazed at the real support that Pro offers. I mean, it's really local, direct, personal. I'm inspired to be a part of an organization that walks alongside people and provides resources that matter, meets them where they're at.
It's really something. Well, I want to get into those resources too, and kind of and I think to your point, it's people don't know what they don't know about Parkinson's, and I'm sure we can get into that. But from your chairs, what are the big misconceptions do you think that are out there that folks have about Parkinson's?
Yeah, well, as we all know, Parkinson's is one of the fastest growing neurological diseases, with someone being diagnosed every 6 minutes and equating to around 90,000 people being diagnosed each year. This has grown significantly in the recent years. And a lot of people think Parkinson's is just about tremors, but it can affect so much more, like your mobility, your mood, memory, sleep. It's also not just an old person's disease, right? Younger individuals are diagnosed every day. Parkinson's is incredibly individualized. There's a saying that goes, if you've met someone with Parkinson's, you've met one person with Parkinson's, which is why personalized education and the support that Pro is providing is so essential.
Is it how does it progress, or is that individualized? Is it
It
does it progress different with different people? Is that or is it?
it can. So as an example, my friend never had the tremor, and he just developed the tremor about, I would say, 19 years into the disease. And it's still very slight. It's not the first thing that you would notice. Whereas his voice was more affected right off the bat. The stiffness and the movements, those things affected him a lot more in the beginning.
Are there any viable cures coming up? Or any kinds of researches? I'm not sure research is being done all the time, but is there anything on the horizon that looks like it might be viable, or what kind? I guess maybe the other question is what can a person do that has Parkinson's that maybe kind of ease the symptoms or that kind of thing? Is it? And I'm sure that's individualized as well, but in
There are some
general, is
things.
there a
Yeah.
Yeah, there is some. Now, I want to preface Pro is a non-medical organization, but we do have some resources, and we do offer educational programs around some of the medications or new procedures like deep brain stimulation. And we do offer, like I said, virtual and in-person educational programs so that people can learn about those procedures and medications, and talk with their doctors about if that would help them individually.
okay? So I would think there's got to be a few things out there that do that. I know my dad had it this was years and years ago, where there wasn't quite the value of the internet and able to, kind of connect with things and all that. But his Parkinson's was a numbing of the extremities, like his feet and his hands didn't really ever have the tremors, to your point, but it was like a numbness that was really a interesting thing. But
well, and it, like you said, again, it affects everybody differently, but one of the major things that people can do to slow the progression of Parkinson's is exercise. It has been proven over and over again to slow the progression. And there are many Parkinson's exercise programs, even the ping pong, that's exercise. And it's very important. And we have a lot of resources that can connect people up with exercise programs, whether they be on Zoom or in person.
It's such a confounding thing. It really is, and you see someone that's suffering with it. And I can only imagine that, the impact it has on the families and not knowing what to do. And I would guess that's your role a lot, right? Is to take the family and to say, here's some things you can do. And I would think that'd be a great relief to folks, being able to, maybe identify something that, well, let's try that. Let's do this, to see if the caregiver can at least move the ball forward a little bit,
It is, Parkinson's Resources doesn't just serve the person with Parkinson's. We serve their families, caregivers. We also have professional training for people in senior living communities, things like that. But, and I can speak to our helpline, and people call in, and recently we've had a couple of calls that were the spouse of the person recently diagnosed. And they just wanted to know what to expect in the future. What do I need to do? How can I help, my husband? And a lot of times they just need somebody to listen to them. And we're there for that also.
And they can always contact you. I think that's the other thing.
Always. And even after, we're here for the family through the entire progression of the disease.
Is there like a lifespan to Parkinson's? Is there like a typical span of life that kind of it can just go on for?
Well, there isn't, there very rarely is it aggressive to the point where the diagnosis happens and within 5 years, the person has progressed. Usually it is a slower progression, but again, it's an individual. And if the person is exercising and eating a well-balanced diet, that helps tremendously, again, to prolong their quality of life.
So what do you see on the horizon for the Parkinson's in general, in terms of like therapies or increasing the work that you guys do? I think is probably another thing, of having more people to reach out to and to be able to help them. But I would think the numbers are good. They've got to be increasing, because the age is certainly a big factor as well. What are you guys doing to promote awareness? What are the things that are out there that we can tell people about what they can do and how they can get involved in things and all that?
I think it's important to touch on our resources, which May is the expert at.
Absolutely. So we're there when the person walks out of their doctor's office and kind of has a 15-minute conversation with their doctor, where their doctor says, "Hey, we've confirmed you're diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Here's
Have
a
a great
prescription.
day."
Here's a prescription. We'll see you in 6 months.
So that's where we step in. We even have some packets at local neurological neurologic, I can't say the word, I'm so sorry.
Neurologist.
Thank you.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Offices. So whenever someone is newly diagnosed, they can hand them a packet that has pro information in it. And we will, you know, like we said, we have our helpline that's available. I also have a beautiful lending library here in my office with tons of resources for not only care partners, people with Parkinson's. We also have some biographies as well. So you can also read about what other people and their journey has been like too. So it's really important, in my opinion, to not wait. I hear a lot of people who receive their diagnosis and wait to reach out for help and resources. And then once they do reach out, they say, oh, I wish I had joined this support group years ago, or I wish I had called you and asked you about this 10 years ago, but I waited too long. I find that a really important piece is just reach out for those resources as soon as you have your diagnosis. We're there for you.
True of a lot of things, you know, I just, the older I get and the more people that I get around my generation, so to speak, is they know everything, you know, and they're hard to impress and to get through to a lot of times, you know. And I find even in real estate transactions, when I'm trying to work with somebody, and it's a little easier to be eyeball to eyeball in terms of generational things, you know, where you can speak to them a little differently and just saying, look, I know you think you know everything, but you don't. And here's what you need to know. And I think it's got to be true in your business as well, as it's always a hurdle, you know, and folks get in their own way. And, you know, like you say, someone that waited 10 years to reach out for help. My dad was exactly the same way. He had, you know, he says, I don't need any help, blah, 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 that whole thing. And that's a tough nut to crack, I think, sometimes, you know, and you're right. They're not going to get the help unless they reach out. I mean, you can't force it on them, but you know, man. You know,
Denial is real.
it just is, you know. I get you guys have some upcoming events, right? You got some things going on that are going to be helpful for this. What are you looking at? What's your
Well, you asked originally, you know, where PRO was going, and PRO being Parkinson's Resources of Oregon, so we just shorten it. You know, and PRO has been providing services for over 4 decades. We're on year 45. And our board of directors is dedicated to maintaining our high level of service and improving access to support. We have a rural access initiative, and right now we're in Pendleton and Coos Bay and Newport. We have support groups that go from Klamath Falls all the way to LeGrand and up and down the coast. And it's important for us to be able to provide access to everyone. And the board of directors understand the importance of strategic planning to ensure that we're meeting those current needs of our Parkinson's community. So regarding events, as an independent nonprofit, we rely solely on the generosity of individual donors and our corporate sponsors to provide the funding that allows us to deliver our critical programs and expand our outreach and continue making meaningful impact in the Parkinson's community. That's part of our mission. And Soul Support for Parkinson's is our annual walk. We have 4 of them in 4 of our cities. We have it in Portland, Vancouver, and then Bend and Eugene.
That's a big one, isn't it? Your march is like that.
That is our largest fundraising event that helps support our services. It's also vital for awareness and pulling people in to understand about Parkinson's. And so we just encourage people, if you'd like to support the community, to come on out. You can go to our website at parkinsonsresources.org and find out more information about it. We, you know, also besides fundraising events, we do have a lot of programs and that are in person and that are also virtual.
You know, I saw that. That's great. I mean, people can access that and just really get the information they need on things like that. That's a great resource. What's the best way for folks to get in touch with you guys? What's the best places, the websites? Do you have phone access and all that? We'll have all that in the show notes you know, when we get into that. But say locally, what's the best way to find you?
Absolutely. It's a good question. So we do have a great website, parkinsonsresources.org, but pro.eventbrite.com is where all of our virtual and in-person programs are available for registration. So anyone can view. We have an upcoming in-person program here in Bend. We have multiple in Beaverton, Portland area and Eugene, and then virtual. So we can meet you where you are as well. And that's including educational programs, support groups, exercise, even wellness, like mindfulness. Lots of different areas where people can come and learn and find a little sense of community as well.
And you're obviously national, right? So if you have a relative or someone in
Actually, we're not.
Idaho or Washington or something like that, I'm sure you have a cohort there.
We're actually not affiliated with a national organization. We are purely local to Oregon and Southwest
Really?
Washington, which again is why our funding is purely local. And when you support Parkinson's Resources in Bend, that money stays in Bend to support this community.
Oh, wow. That's, geez, so you really are dependent on the generosity of folks in the
We are.
and all that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, from my experience, this is, like I say, this is something that is probably one of the toughest diseases I think there is to really get in front of. Not that any of them aren't, but the what you guys do is massive in terms of helping people with what this thing is, and it's having been around it myself, it's just not fun, and I think what you guys do is just remarkable. And what's your contact information in Bend for getting a hold of you?
Yes, so I'm right here, local in Bend, Oregon, and my let's see, I am located in the Spectrum building. So I'm here Monday through Thursday. You can come see me by appointment and check out our lending library and learn about the resources we have. Or you can also feel free to give me a call anytime, of course, through that helpline as well. My number here is 541-668-6599. You can also contact the office in Beaverton, 800-426-6806.
Well, thanks for everything you do, and I'm looking forward to hearing how things progress and have more information about your events and all that we can help you promote as well. So thanks for being here today, and really appreciate that. And
thanks for having us, Jim.
well, thank you.
We really appreciate the opportunity to help spread awareness about Parkinson's and the resources that PRO is able to offer.
You know, we got to do it. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
Well,